All right. So today I'm talking with Vincent, who has had some experience with functional medicine and had really positive outcomes in his health, and wanted to share his philosophies about how this and his method of health has helped him.
Well, thank you, Dr. JP. I appreciate the opportunity to do this. I just want to say, before I say anything, that I came into this like anybody else from the school of hard knocks. You have to acquire knowledge, and you have to take a path that's not necessarily a straight line. As a matter of fact, it probably will be anything but a straight line. And you kind of have to treat it as if you're, best way I can put it is if you're trying to get a master's degree in optimum health or nutritional excellence. You have to acquire knowledge first, because if you don't, you won't do it. If you don't understand the science behind it, and if you're not convinced or believe in it, it's much harder to stick to something. And I think you also have to find the right sources, like a Dr. JP. There's many wonderful, world-renowned, national plant-based doctors like a Dean Ornish. There's plenty of information out there. There's plenty of recipes out there and all that sort of stuff. But it's a path that will have tremendous rewards. And one of my philosophies is that I'm a type AAA personality. I'm not a type A personality. So anything I've ever done has always been with passion and full force. And I was always the type of person where I never did anything that I really wasn't crazy about doing anyway. So I never really did anything in moderation. I believe that if you do things in moderation, you get moderate results. And so I'm not saying you shouldn't do anything moderately if it's not that important, but when it comes to your health, and hey, I was on the other side. I spent first 45 years of my life, I just took my body for granted. And when you're feeling good, it's easy to do that. It's kind of like when you're sick, then you go, oh boy, I'm not going to do that again. Or somebody's drinking and they're throwing up and I'm never going to have a drink again, until you feel better. And then you go right back to the bad habits. So I think that moderation when it comes to your health, there's no worse strategy. You have to treat this, and I'll be as frank as possible. You almost have to treat this like your life depends on it, because it does.
Yeah.
And so that's my points about moderation. You have to really respect your body. And I never did that either. I always took my body for granted, but someone told me a while ago, never say anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to a friend. And because I remember I'd be practicing the piano and I'd say, oh, you idiot, how did you make that mistake? Your mind starts to believe it. And so same thing with your body. To me, if you don't treat it with love and the love and respect it deserves, and you put bad food in it, or food that you know isn't healthy, it's like punching your best friend in the stomach. Your body got you through this far, however old you are, whatever age you're at now. I'm 61 years old, and I will be honest, until recently, I never realized how important the mental piece of how we think affects our health. I was always obsessed with food and the exercise and all that kind of stuff. And while that's very, very important, the mental piece that I've learned through you, Dr. JP, and other sources that I have, other doctors that I've been to. I see a a psychologist that helps me with biofeedback. But it wasn't until recently until I really started doing that full force, because it's so important to have all of those things, you know, learning to do meditation, Tai Chi, yoga, whatever you can do. It has to be done like your life depends on it, because your health is your wealth, and your body should always be a priority, because we tend to, everybody falls into this trap. We tend to ignore our bodies, and we also get used to feeling like crap all the time. Like you forgot what it felt like to feel good when you're in the sick state that I was in. And so it's more or less, you have to find ways to stick with things even when you feel good. Like if you don't want to take that walk, the way I motivate myself is, well, I know I don't want to go, but I know if I do go, I'll feel good. But the main reason I'm going is because my body deserves it. My mind deserves it. And you have to remember, I don't want to be sick, you know. And as far as the food goes, I love what I eat. I mean, and again, it's an educational process. It's not easy. You got to have to learn how to shop differently. You have to learn how to, you also have to deal with the pushback you may get from family. You know, I can go on about that, which is important. It's to be, one thing I learned when I started this 15 years ago, I got so excited that I was preaching it to everybody, and I was trying to force it, you know, like force the issue with people. And I got a lot of pushback, and I understand why. You know, when you're ready to make a change, other people may not be there with you. So my advice on that is to be compassionate about people who don't necessarily think the way you do or the way you want to go about things. Set an example. Just do what you do, but understand that they may not follow you, and only care about what's on your plate. You can't control what other people are eating or doing, but on the flip side, don't get bullied into going against what you want to do. There's ways to compromise. There's ways to cook differently. You know, sometimes you could make your dish and someone else can modify theirs, or however you want to work, whatever your situation is. So there's just a whole, I'm rambling on about things, but these are all the things that I have learned through trials and tribulations, right? But think about moderation for a second. This goes for anybody. There's nothing in your life that you accomplished that was worthwhile or exciting or an amazing achievement that you did moderately. Dr. JP, you didn't become a doctor doing that moderately. My wife didn't get a master's degree doing that moderately. I didn't get into some of the best music schools because I didn't practice all the time. To me, you either do it or you don't. And when it comes to your health, you just really have to stay focused. And even when you don't feel like doing something or you don't feel like eating something, I mean, it took me many years to get to that point too, where I don't cheat at all. Like I don't have a piece of birthday cake. I don't, you know, it's really hard to do this if you keep going back to your addictions. To me, the only way to get, if you want to get off of chocolate, my philosophy is don't eat it. Deal with the side effects, deal with the psychology. It's tough for a couple of days, but if you don't want a certain food anymore, total abstinence to me is the only way to get through that. And it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. You don't want to punch your best friend in the stomach if you don't have to. And I'm not saying I'm perfect or we're all perfect, but if you have a bad day, just get back on the horse the next day. Don't punish yourself if you don't get to do this or that, or if I had something that I shouldn't have had. There's no point in doing that either. So that's kind of some things that I would like to say. I mean, your health, another way I look at it is your health is like your 401k. What you do now, whatever age you're at, should you live to be 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever you do now is an investment for those years, because we're trying to slow the aging process down, where we're trying to, reverse illnesses. That's one of my big things. My family has a history of heart disease. So I'm not saying that I do everything perfectly. I'm still learning. I work with Dr. JP. I still read a lot. It takes a lot of effort, like anything worthwhile that you achieve. Right. I mean, it's like anything else. And so that's my general take about it. But if there's anything you'd like to add to that, or.
I just thank you, Vincent, for sharing your philosophy. It's been a real privilege to work with you and see the benefits that we actually can do laboratory tests that show that the effort that you're putting in makes a difference. And that is what I think is so exciting, is you're consistent, you have given it that extraordinary effort, and you're getting extraordinary results. So thank you so much for sharing that with other people. And with your permission, I'm going to post this video on YouTube and let other people hear your philosophy. So thank you very much today.
Oh, I appreciate what you said, and it was my pleasure.